just had the craziest dream.
That wasn't a dream. That was yesterday. But I'm sure it'll be more chill tomorrow.
The Amazing World of Gumball is back! Bigger, funnier, crazier, bigger and bigger than ever before! The Amazing World of Gumball, coming soon to Cartoon Network!
Did we just see into the future?
Uh-huh. And it looked awesome!
Hey everybody, today I'm back to rank Season 2 of possibly my favorite show of all time, The Amazing World of Gumball. Last season we had 36 episodes to rank, this time we have 40. Once again we have a lot of ground to cover, so let's get right into it. Number 40, The Hero. So, the main problem with this episode is how terrible Anais and Nicole are. Basically, Richard overhears Gumball and Darwin saying some mean things about him. All the things that they say are 100% true, by the way, but Richard is hurt by the comments and hides out in the shed. When Anais and Nicole hear about this, they treat them terribly. These are literally Nicole's exact words.
Right, that's it. You clearly don't appreciate your parents, so until you apologize to your father, we won't be doing anything else for you. Let's see how long you last.
So this leads to a bunch of incredibly uncomfortable scenes to watch of Gumball and Darwin being treated terribly for no reason. And why are Anais and Nicole being so terrible to them? I mean, it's not like they don't have their own problems with Richard. They know how he can be. So why are they treating him so badly when they're not much better? And what they said about Richard wasn't even that harsh to begin with. Would I say this episode's worse than The Laziest? Maybe a little bit, but not by too much. Number 39, The Promise. If my main problem with The Hero was how badly Gumball and Darwin were treated, then my main problem with this episode is how badly Banana Joe is treated. I mean, this episode is just incredibly painful for me to watch. Number 38, The Limit. Richard is terrible here, the kids are so dang obnoxious, and usually when Nicole goes absolutely insane like this, it's funny. But here, it's not funny. It's just kinda sad. Well, to me at least. But despite all these problems, I wouldn't call this episode terrible. Number 37, The Sweaters. Overall, I'd probably call this episode mediocre, but man, these guys are annoying. Number 36, The Voice. This is a very okay episode. The only good thing I can say about it is that the scenes with Alan are hilarious.
I apologize for apologizing so much.
Number 35, The Boombox. This episode's pretty decent, but that ending is so aggravating. Number 34, The Internet. I love Darwin's little song. Number 33, The Sidekick. It's an interesting concept having Darwin realize just how much of a sidekick he is, and it makes for a pretty solid episode. Number 32, The Castle. I hate to put this episode so low on the list, because it's still a really good episode, it's just not as good as most of the other episodes this season. Number 31, The Lesson. What is it with Gumball and making so many great songs? Number 30, The Knights. Ever since season 1, Gumball and Penny always had chemistry together, and this is another episode that shows how much they care for one another. Number 29, The Photo. This is another kind of relatable episode because, yeah, yearbook photos can suck. Number 28, The Bet. Gumball might be a little unlikable for treating Bobbert this way, but it's hilarious watching him make Bobbert do all these stupid things. And, well, Gumball kinda got what was coming to him in the end. Number 27, The Banana. Gumball and Darwin might be a little unlikable here, but this episode is still great. I mean, Banana Joe has to be one of my favorite Gumball characters. Number 26, The Words. This episode was already great, but the song makes this episode 100 times better. Number 25, The Virus. This is probably Terry's biggest role to date, and although this episode is great, I can kinda see why Terry doesn't get used that often. I mean, as a character, she's a little two-dimensional. Ugh, why do I even try? Number 24, The World. The Amazing World of Elmore. Not a bad premise. Number 23, The Watch. You know, if my dad offered me a watch like that, I would accept it in a heartbeat. Number 22, Christmas. 1 out of 2 episodes that does not have the word "the" in the title. But as for the episode itself, it's a fantastic holiday special, and it's something I will definitely be watching every Christmas. Number 21, The Skull. Where this episode really stands out to me is the amazing climax, even if it all turned out to be fake. Number 20, The Phone. You know, phone addiction is a real thing. I suffer from it myself. But it leads to an amazing episode. Number 19, The Apology. You know, Miss Simeon being evil has led to some great episodes. This episode being one of them. Number 18, The Colossus. Hector's mom is a really good character. We don't get to see too much of her, but when we do, it's usually good. Number 17, The Tag. It's good to see an episode with Mr. Robinson that doesn't revolve around Gumball or Darwin having a weird obsession with him. Number 16, The Authority. Man, Granny JoJo is evil here. I don't know how else to describe her. I mean, as Nicole says...
It's because of your parenting that Richard had that accident. Wait, it's because of your parenting that he has no common sense whatsoever. You protected him his entire life, never letting him think for himself, and now he can hardly think at all.
And what's worse is that she starts to do the exact same thing to Gumball, Darwin, and Anais. Luckily, Nicole gives Granny JoJo what's coming to her and ends up saving her husband and children. I actually think that this episode shows off how great Nicole can be just as much as the meddler from Season 1. I know some people might disagree with that, but that's my opinion. Number 15, The Plan. I tend to really like it when Gumball, Darwin, and Anais are the main center of an episode. And that's probably one of the reasons why I like this episode so much. Number 14, The Dream. I love pretty much everything about this episode, but the thing I like the most is the jokes about Darwin not having a neck.
What are you doing? Trying to throttle you, but you don't have a neck. This is all your fault. You still no neck.
Number 13, The Bumpkin. The opening scene is literally the best scene in this episode. Number 12, The Tape. This is a fantastic episode, but it's also kind of a different episode. As the title would suggest, it's basically the Wattersons and other characters filming themselves and other people doing weird and funny stuff. Number 11, Halloween. The other out of 2 episodes that doesn't have the word "the" in the title. But just like Christmas, this is a fantastic holiday special, and definitely something I'll be watching every Halloween. Number 10, The Pony. Who knew an episode about Gumball and Darwin trying to get home to Anais so they could watch a movie would be so dang good? Number 9, The Flakers. Am I the only one who didn't know what a flaker was before watching this? Regardless, I love this episode. Number 8, The Remote. This was a perfect beginning to a new season, and after Season 1 being pretty good but still a little hit or miss, I think that this episode just showed that Season 2 was gonna be a lot better. Number 7, The Storm. A lot of this episode centers around Alan, and when that happens, it's usually really great. But there's a lot of other great stuff here.
Look, a diversion.
Number 6, The Flower. Gumball being possessed by jealousy is so hilarious. And a bunch of crazy stuff happens here, and it's all so good. Number 5, The Treasure. This is a fantastic adventure story, and it's also got a pretty touching ending. Number 4, The Finale. Man, is this episode crazy. This might be the craziest episode of the show, but it's also one of the best episodes of the show. Number 3, The Game. I love this episode. It's obviously loosely based off of Jumanji with the whole board game that has consequences that happen in real life stuff. And I'm actually a big fan of Jumanji, both the 1995 version and Welcome to the Jungle. But if I were to ever choose between watching one of those movies or watching this episode, I'd choose this episode. Number 2, The Fridge. From beginning to end, this episode is a masterpiece. It's another episode that shows off just how crazy the Wattersons can be. But no matter how crazy and dysfunctional they might be, they're still my favorite family on television. And at number 1, The Job. This is probably in my top 3 favorite Gumball episodes of all time. It might even be my favorite episode of all time. This episode is hilarious. It's got insane but amazing animation. And it's probably one of Richard's best appearances to date. Not just because he's hilarious, but it's the first time in the show that we actually saw how much he cares about his family. And that's all the episodes. So I think it's pretty obvious that besides a couple bad episodes and a few mediocre episodes, I thought that this season was really dang good. It's definitely a huge step up from Season 1, which wasn't even a bad season to begin with, and I would give Season 2 a 9.2 out of 10. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for my ranking of Season 3, but until then, this is JXD Productions, signing off.